Have you ever wondered what experienced preppers actually keep in their homes? Not the food sitting openly on the kitchen counter. Not the snacks everyone can see. And not the products that disappear every time someone visits. We're talking about the food supplies that many prepared households quietly keep stored away for emergencies. Because when a major disruption happens, the people who prepared early may have something that others suddenly wish they had. A well-stocked pantry isn't just about having more food. It's about having the right food. Foods that can last. Foods that are easy to store. Foods that can provide calories and nutrition. And foods that can help a family get through difficult situations without relying entirely on grocery stores. That's why some preppers choose to keep certain supplies private. Not because they're trying to be secretive for no reason, but because they understand that emergency supplies can become extremely valuable when normal shopping becomes difficult. Imagine a major storm, a widespread power outage, a transportation disruption, or a sudden shortage that leaves grocery store shelves looking completely different. When that happens, the food you have stored at home can become much more important than it seemed before. And the people who didn't prepare may suddenly start asking questions. Where did you get that? How much do you have? Can I have some? That's one reason experienced preppers often keep their emergency food supplies discreetly stored. Today, we're looking at 15 foods that many prepared households may choose to keep tucked away from casual visitors. These aren't necessarily expensive survival products. In fact, many are ordinary grocery items that you can purchase gradually during regular shopping trips. The key is proper storage, rotation, and buying only what your household can realistically use. You don't need to panic buy. You don't need to empty store shelves. And you don't need to tell everyone exactly how much food you have stored. Preparedness is about being responsible and practical. Before we begin, subscribe to Prepper Pulse and turn on notifications. We upload new videos daily with practical grocery tips, food storage ideas, and preparedness strategies to help you stay informed and ready. Now let's count down 15 foods every prepper may want to keep safely stored away from guests. Starting with number 15. Number 15. Freeze-dried fruit. Starting our countdown at number 15 is a food that many preppers appreciate because it's lightweight, versatile, and easy to store. Freeze-dried fruit. Strawberries, bananas, apples, blueberries, and other fruits can be preserved through freeze-drying, removing most of the moisture while maintaining much of the original flavor and texture. That makes them useful for long-term food storage. You can eat them straight from the package. Add them to cereal. Mix them into oatmeal. Use them in baking. Or rehydrate them with water for certain recipes. Another advantage is that freeze-dried fruit takes up relatively little space compared with fresh produce. You don't need a refrigerator or freezer for unopened products when they're stored according to the manufacturer's instructions. For preppers, that's an important benefit. Fresh fruit can spoil quickly. Frozen fruit requires continuous electricity, but properly packaged freeze-dried fruit can provide a shelf-stable option for much longer storage. Of course, quality and storage life depend heavily on the packaging. Moisture and oxygen are major enemies of long-term food storage, so products should remain sealed and stored in appropriate conditions. Once opened, follow the package recommendations and use the product within the recommended time frame. Some preppers keep these foods stored away because they can provide a little variety when fresh produce becomes difficult to obtain. During a long emergency, having something sweet and familiar can also make meals feel less repetitive. And because freeze-dried fruit is lightweight, it can be useful for more than just home storage. It can also be included in emergency kits or taken on trips where refrigeration isn't available. Freeze-dried fruit earns the number 15 spot because it's compact, versatile, easy to store, and provides a convenient way to keep fruit available for longer periods. And the next food on our list is something even more basic. A simple ingredient that can help turn ordinary emergency meals into something much more satisfying. Number 14. Powdered milk. At number 14 is a pantry staple that many preppers appreciate because it can provide a useful dairy option without relying on a constant supply of fresh milk. Powdered milk. Fresh milk is convenient, but it has one major limitation. It needs refrigeration. If the power goes out for an extended period, keeping fresh milk cold can quickly become a challenge. Powdered milk offers another option. When stored properly in its original sealed packaging, it can remain shelf-stable for a considerable period. That makes it useful for emergency preparedness and long-term pantry planning. You can mix it with water when needed and use it in a variety of recipes. It can be added to baked goods, used in soups and sauces, or prepared as a beverage when appropriate. For some families, powdered milk may not taste exactly like fresh milk, but it can still be valuable as a backup ingredient. That's especially true when access to refrigerated dairy products becomes limited. Preppers may also keep powdered milk discreetly stored because it's one of those supplies that can become surprisingly useful during an extended disruption. If grocery stores are closed or transportation is interrupted, having a shelf-stable dairy alternative at home can provide additional flexibility. Storage is important, though. Keep unopened powdered milk in a cool, dry location and follow the manufacturer's instructions. Once opened, protect it from moisture and use it according to the recommended storage guidance. It's also wise to purchase a product your household is actually willing to use. A food supply is only useful if your family knows how to prepare it and will eat it when needed. Powdered milk earns the number 14 spot because it provides a shelf-stable alternative to fresh dairy and can be used in drinks, baking, and cooking. And the next food is something many people overlook. A simple pantry ingredient that can provide sweetness and energy while taking up very little storage space. Number 13. Maple syrup. At number 13 is a sweet pantry staple that many preppers appreciate for its versatility and storage potential. Maple syrup. It can be used on pancakes, waffles, French toast, oatmeal, and a variety of homemade desserts. But it can also serve as a useful sweetener when other options aren't available. For preppers, having different ways to add flavor and sweetness to meals can make a big difference during a long-term emergency. Maple syrup can also be used in marinades, sauces, and homemade recipes. That means one bottle can serve multiple purposes. Another reason some preppers keep it stored away is that unopened maple syrup can be kept for an extended period when stored according to the manufacturer's recommendations. Once opened, however, storage requirements can change, so always follow the label instructions. You may also need refrigeration after opening, depending on the product. The key is to choose the amount your household can realistically use. There's no point buying a large supply if your family rarely consumes it. But if maple syrup is already part of your regular grocery routine, keeping an unopened backup bottle can give you an additional sweetener option during an emergency. And because it's a familiar food, it can make basic meals feel more enjoyable when you're working with a limited selection of ingredients. Preppers understand that emergency food isn't only about survival calories. It's also about variety, flavor, and maintaining a sense of normalcy. Maple syrup earns the number 13 spot because it's versatile, easy to incorporate into everyday meals, and can provide a convenient source of sweetness when needed. And the next food on our list is something that can make a simple emergency meal much more satisfying. Number 12. Instant potatoes. At number 12 is a food that many preppers appreciate because it's quick to prepare, easy to store, and can turn a basic meal into something much more filling. Instant potatoes. Whether you buy them as flakes or another shelf-stable form, instant potatoes can be a useful addition to an emergency pantry. One of their biggest advantages is convenience. You don't need to spend a long time peeling and boiling fresh potatoes. With the right preparation method, you can have a warm side dish ready in minutes. That can be especially valuable during an emergency when fuel, water, or cooking time may be limited. Instant potatoes can also be combined with other foods. You can add them to soups. Use them as a side dish with canned meat or vegetables, or incorporate them into certain homemade recipes. This versatility gives you more ways to use the same pantry item. Another advantage is storage. Unopened packages can generally be stored in a cool, dry pantry according to the manufacturer's instructions. That makes them easy to keep on hand without taking up valuable refrigerator or freezer space. For preppers, foods like this can be especially useful because they require relatively little preparation compared with many fresh ingredients. And when you're dealing with an extended emergency, Having foods that are quick and simple to prepare can reduce the amount of fuel and effort required for each meal. Smart preppers also rotate their supplies. Instead of buying food and forgetting about it, they regularly use older packages and replace them with newer ones. This helps maintain a fresher emergency supply while preventing unnecessary waste. Instant potatoes earn the number 12 spot because they're convenient, versatile, easy to store, and capable of adding comfort and substance to simple emergency meals. And the next food on our list is another shelf-stable staple that can provide a surprising amount of flexibility in the kitchen. Number 11. Canned pumpkin. At number 11 is a food that many people only think about during certain times of the year. Canned pumpkin. But experienced preppers know it can be much more useful than just a seasonal baking ingredient. Canned pumpkin can be added to soups, used in baked goods, mixed into oatmeal, or incorporated into sauces and other recipes. That versatility makes it a useful pantry item when fresh ingredients are limited. It also provides an easy way to add variety to meals without depending on refrigeration. Unopened cans can generally be stored in a cool, dry pantry for an extended period, following the manufacturer's storage recommendations. This makes canned pumpkin convenient for households building a long-term food supply. One reason some preppers keep foods like this out of sight is because emergency food storage isn't always obvious. A well-stocked pantry may contain ordinary grocery items that don't attract much attention. But when fresh produce becomes difficult to obtain, those simple canned ingredients can suddenly become much more valuable. Canned pumpkin can also help prevent meals from becoming repetitive. During a prolonged emergency, eating the same foods day after day can become tiring. Having ingredients that can be used in different recipes gives you more flexibility. Smart preppers should always check their cans before use. Avoid cans that are severely damaged, leaking, or swollen. And rotate your supplies regularly so older products are used first. Canned pumpkin earns the number 11 spot because it's shelf-stable, versatile, and capable of adding flavor and variety to both sweet and savory meals. And we're just getting started. The next food on our list is something many preppers keep hidden away because it can provide a quick source of energy and can be used in several different ways. Number 10. Dried fruit. At number 10 is a simple food that many preppers appreciate because it can provide quick energy without requiring refrigeration. Dried fruit. Raisins, dried apricots, dates, prunes, and other varieties can all be useful additions to a preparedness pantry. Unlike fresh fruit, dried fruit has had much of its moisture removed, which allows it to be stored for longer when properly packaged and kept in suitable conditions. That makes it convenient for emergency food supplies. You can eat it straight from the package. Add it to cereal. Mix it into homemade trail mix. Use it in baking. Or combine it with nuts and seeds for a simple snack. Dried fruit is also lightweight and easy to portion. That makes it useful not only at home but also in emergency bags, travel kits, or situations where you may need food that doesn't require cooking. For preppers, variety is important. An emergency pantry shouldn't consist entirely of the same few foods. Having something naturally sweet can make a big difference when you're eating simple meals for an extended period. Dried fruit can also be useful when fresh produce isn't readily available. However, storage matters. Keep packages sealed and protect them from excessive heat, moisture, and pests. Once opened, follow the product's storage recommendations and check for changes in quality before consuming. It's also smart to choose varieties your household already enjoys. There is no benefit in storing large quantities of foods nobody wants to eat. Dried fruit earns the number 10 spot because it's compact, convenient, versatile, and can provide a shelf-stable alternative when fresh fruit isn't available. And now we're moving into the top 9. The next food is something that can help preppers add variety and protein to meals without depending on refrigeration. Number 9. Canned coconut milk. At number 9 is a pantry item that many people don't think about when building an emergency food supply. Canned coconut milk. It can add flavor, richness, and variety to meals without requiring refrigeration before opening. You can use it in curries, soups, rice dishes, sauces, and many other recipes. That versatility makes it valuable for preppers who want to avoid eating the same basic meals over and over again. Canned coconut milk can also help transform simple pantry ingredients into something that feels completely different. A few basic vegetables combined with rice and coconut milk can create a satisfying meal. You can also use it with beans, lentils, or other shelf-stable ingredients. For long-term storage, unopened cans can generally be kept in a cool, dry pantry according to the manufacturer's recommendations. That makes them convenient to store alongside other emergency supplies. Some preppers keep products like this out of sight because they're not obvious emergency foods. Guests may see an ordinary pantry, but behind closed doors, there may be ingredients that can provide weeks or months of additional meal options. Smart storage is about more than quantity. It's about variety. Having different flavors and ingredients available can make a major difference during an extended disruption. As always, check cans before opening them and avoid using containers that are severely swollen, leaking, or badly damaged. Canned coconut milk earns the number 9 spot because it's shelf-stable, versatile, and capable of adding variety and richness to simple emergency meals. And now we're moving closer to the top 5. The next food is something many preppers value because it can provide a convenient source of protein without taking up valuable freezer space. Number 8. Canned chicken. At number 8 is a convenient source of protein that many preppers appreciate because it doesn't depend on freezer space. Canned chicken. It's already cooked, easy to store, and ready to use whenever you need it. You can add it to sandwiches, mix it into salads, combine it with pasta, use it in soups, or turn it into quick wraps and other simple meals. That versatility makes canned chicken a valuable pantry staple during both everyday life and emergencies. One of its biggest advantages is storage. Unopened cans can generally be kept in a cool, dry pantry for an extended period when stored according to the manufacturer's recommendations. That means you can gradually build a supply without filling your freezer. For preppers, this can be especially useful during power outages or other situations where refrigeration may become unreliable. Canned chicken can also help add variety to a pantry that might otherwise rely heavily on beans, grains, and other basic staples. A single can be combined with different ingredients to create several types of meals. This is important because emergency food storage isn't just about having calories. It's about having options. The more versatile your supplies are, the easier it can be to create meals that your family actually wants to eat. Smart preppers should compare different brands and package sizes and focus on the best value for their household. There's no need to buy more than you can reasonably rotate through. Check cans before use and avoid containers that are swollen, leaking, or severely damaged. Canned chicken earns the number 8 spot because it's shelf-stable, versatile, convenient, and provides a practical protein option without taking up freezer space. And now we're entering the top 7. The next food is something that can provide a surprising amount of nutrition while taking up very little room in your emergency pantry. Number 7. Chia seeds. We're now in the top 7. At number 7 is a small food that takes up very little space but can add useful nutrition and variety to an emergency pantry. Chia seeds. They are lightweight, easy to portion, and simple to incorporate into everyday meals. You can mix them into smoothies, add them to yogurt, stir them into cereal, use them in baking, or combine them with water to create a simple gel that can be incorporated into certain recipes. For preppers, the biggest advantage is flexibility. A small package can be used in many different ways, allowing you to add variety without storing large quantities of food. Chia seeds are also easy to keep in a pantry when stored properly. The key is protecting them from excessive heat, moisture, and air. Follow the package instructions for storage and pay attention to freshness after opening. Like many shelf-stable foods, chia seeds are most useful when they're part of your normal diet. If your family already enjoys them, keeping an extra package can be a practical addition to your preparedness supplies. There's no reason to buy a large quantity of something you've never tried before. Instead, test it in everyday meals first. That way, you already know how to use it if you ever need to rely more heavily on your pantry. Chia seeds earn the number 7 spot because they're compact, versatile, easy to store, and can add nutritional variety to meals without requiring much space. And now we're down to the final 6. The next food is something many preppers keep stored because it can turn a basic pantry meal into something much more satisfying. Number 6. Shelf-stable cheese. We're down to the final 6. At number 6 is a food that many preppers appreciate because it provides a way to add familiar dairy flavor without depending entirely on fresh refrigerated products. Shelf-stable cheese. This can include certain processed cheese products, cheese powders, and other specially packaged cheese products designed for longer storage. The biggest advantage is convenience. Cheese can make simple meals feel more satisfying. You can add it to pasta. Mix it into sauces. Sprinkle cheese powder over vegetables or potatoes. Or use suitable shelf-stable products in recipes that need extra flavor. For a prepper, variety matters. Imagine eating basic rice, beans, or canned vegetables day after day. Having a cheese-based ingredient available can completely change the flavor and make the same basic foods feel different. Some products are specifically packaged for extended storage, while others may have much shorter shelf lives. That's why it's important to check the label carefully and follow the manufacturer's storage recommendations. Keep unopened products in appropriate conditions and rotate them regularly. Smart preppers also test these foods before relying on them. A product that looks useful on paper isn't necessarily something your family will enjoy. Try it in everyday cooking first. If everyone likes it, then consider keeping an additional package as part of your emergency supply. Shelf-stable cheese earns the number 6 spot because it can add flavor, variety, and a familiar comfort to meals when fresh refrigerated foods may be difficult to obtain. And now we're entering the top 5. The next food is something that can provide a quick source of energy and can be stored in a surprisingly small amount of space. Number 5. Dark chocolate. We're now in the top 5. At number 5 is a food that many preppers keep tucked away because it can provide something that's often overlooked in emergency planning. A little comfort. Dark chocolate. During a crisis, food isn't only about calories and nutrition. Morale matters too. When you're dealing with a prolonged power outage, severe weather, supply disruption, or another stressful situation, having a familiar treat can make difficult days feel a little more manageable. Dark chocolate is compact, easy to portion, and doesn't require cooking. Depending on the specific product and storage conditions, it can also remain usable for a considerable amount of time. That's why some preppers include chocolate products in their emergency food supplies. You can eat it as a snack, add small pieces to trail mix, or simply keep it available as an occasional treat. The important thing is proper storage. Chocolate can be affected by heat and humidity, so keeping it in a cool, dry location is essential. During hot weather, storage can become especially important. If temperatures are high, follow the manufacturer's recommendations to maintain quality. Preppers also understand that emergency supplies should include foods people actually enjoy. A pantry filled entirely with practical staples may provide calories, but it can become monotonous over time. A small amount of chocolate can provide variety without taking up much space. The goal isn't to rely on sweets as a primary food source. Instead, it's about having a few familiar comfort foods available alongside nutritious staples. Dark chocolate earns the number 5 spot because it's compact, convenient, easy to portion, and can provide a small morale boost when normal life is disrupted. And now we're down to the final 4. The next food is something many preppers value because it can provide a quick and convenient source of energy without requiring a stove or refrigerator. Number 4. Granola bars. We're down to the final 4. At number 4 is a food that many preppers appreciate because it's compact, convenient, and ready to eat whenever you need it. Granola bars. They require no cooking, no refrigeration, and very little preparation. That makes them useful during power outages, evacuations, road emergencies, or any situation where access to a normal kitchen may be limited. You can keep them in an emergency bag, store them in a pantry, or take them with you when leaving home. Granola bars also come in many different varieties. Some contain nuts. Others include dried fruit. Some are made with whole grains, while others are designed more like snack bars. This allows families to choose options that match their preferences and dietary needs. For preppers, convenience is a major advantage. During an emergency, you may not always have the time, fuel, or equipment needed to prepare a full meal. Having something ready to eat can help bridge the gap until you can prepare something more substantial. However, storage conditions still matter. Heat can affect texture and quality, especially during the summer months. Always follow the manufacturer's storage recommendations and check the expiration or best before information when rotating your supplies. It's also a good idea to test the products before adding large quantities to your emergency stash. Some bars can become unpleasantly hard or stale over time, while others may not be something your family enjoys. The best emergency foods are the ones you already know how to use and are willing to eat. Granola bars earn the number 4 spot because they're portable, convenient, require no cooking, and can provide a quick source of energy when normal meal preparation isn't possible. And now we're down to the final 3. The next food is something that can provide an important source of nutrition while remaining easy to store for long periods. Number 3. Canned vegetables. We're down to the final 3. At number 3 is one of the most practical foods you can keep in a long-term pantry. Canned vegetables. Green beans, carrots, peas, mixed vegetables, and other varieties can provide important flexibility when fresh produce isn't available. One of the biggest advantages of canned vegetables is convenience. They're already prepared and ready to use. You can add them to soups, mix them with rice or pasta, combine them with canned meat, or serve them as a simple side dish. This makes them extremely useful during emergencies when time, fuel, or access to fresh food may be limited. Canned vegetables are also relatively easy to store. Unopened cans can generally remain in a cool, dry pantry for an extended period when stored according to the manufacturer's recommendations. That makes them ideal for gradual stockpiling. Instead of buying everything at once, smart preppers can purchase a few extra cans during regular grocery trips and rotate them through everyday meals. This approach helps prevent waste and keeps your supply fresh. Another advantage is variety. You don't have to rely on the same vegetables every day. Different canned vegetables can be combined with other pantry staples to create completely different meals. And when fresh produce becomes expensive or difficult to find, having vegetables already stored at home can provide useful flexibility. Some preppers keep these supplies away from guests because they understand how valuable a well-stocked pantry can become during a prolonged disruption. What looks like an ordinary shelf of canned goods today could become an important source of meals tomorrow. Just remember to inspect cans before use. Avoid severely swollen, leaking, or badly damaged containers. Canned vegetables earn the number 3 spot because they're convenient, versatile, easy to store, and can provide valuable variety when fresh produce isn't readily available. And now we're down to the final 2. The next food is something many preppers consider essential because it can provide a dependable foundation for countless meals. Number 2. Canned fruit. We're down to the final 2. At number 2 is a food that many preppers keep stored because it can provide something that becomes especially valuable during a long emergency. Variety. Canned fruit. Peaches, pears, pineapple, mandarin oranges, and other varieties can provide a convenient way to add sweetness and fruit to your meals without depending on fresh produce. During an emergency, fresh fruit may not always be available. Transportation problems can interrupt deliveries. Stores may have limited supplies. And fresh produce can spoil quickly when refrigeration or normal shopping isn't possible. Canned fruit offers another option. Unopened cans can generally be stored in a cool, dry pantry for an extended period when kept according to the manufacturer's recommendations. That makes them useful for long-term food storage. You can eat canned fruit directly from the can. Add it to breakfast. Mix it into desserts, or combine it with other pantry ingredients. It can also provide a welcome change from savory emergency meals. For preppers, that matters. Imagine eating beans, grains, and canned vegetables for weeks. Having something sweet and familiar can make meals feel much more enjoyable. Canned fruit can also be particularly useful for families with children. During stressful situations, familiar foods can help create a sense of normalcy. Smart preppers should choose varieties their household already enjoys. There's no reason to stockpile foods that nobody wants to eat. It's also important to rotate your supply. Use older cans first and replace them when you find good prices. Before opening, inspect the can carefully. Avoid products that are leaking, severely swollen, or badly damaged. Canned fruit earns the number 2 spot because it's shelf-stable, convenient, versatile, and can provide sweetness and variety when fresh fruit is difficult to obtain. And now we've reached number 1. The final food on our list is something that many experienced preppers consider one of the most valuable additions to a long-term emergency pantry. Number 1. Emergency food buckets. We've reached number 1. The final item on our list is something that many serious preppers keep stored away because it can provide a large amount of food in a relatively compact package. Emergency food buckets. These are specially packaged collections of shelf-stable meals or ingredients designed for long-term storage. Depending on the product, a bucket may contain meals such as soups, pasta dishes, rice-based meals, or other foods designed to be prepared with water. The biggest advantage is convenience. Instead of building an emergency supply entirely from individual grocery items, a properly packaged food bucket can provide multiple servings in one container. For households preparing for extended disruptions, that can make organization much easier. Many emergency food products are also designed with long storage periods in mind. However, storage life varies significantly between products. That's why it's important to check the manufacturer's information rather than assuming every food bucket will last for decades. Keep these supplies in a cool, dry location and protect them from extreme temperatures and moisture. But there's something else experienced preppers understand. An emergency food bucket should not be your entire food supply. The strongest preparedness strategy usually combines different types of food. Everyday pantry staples, canned foods, shelf-stable ingredients, frozen foods, and specially packaged emergency meals. This creates more flexibility. If one type of food becomes unavailable, you have other options. It's also important to test emergency meals before you need them. Some products may require more water than expected. Others may have flavors your family doesn't enjoy. And some may require preparation methods that aren't practical during a power outage. Knowing these details in advance can prevent unpleasant surprises during an actual emergency. Emergency food buckets earn the number 1 spot because they can provide a convenient foundation for long-term preparedness when combined with a broader and balanced food supply. So there you have it. 15 foods that many preppers may choose to keep stored away from casual visitors. But the real lesson isn't about hiding food. It's about being prepared. You don't need to become obsessed with stockpiling. You don't need to spend thousands on emergency supplies. And you don't need to panic every time you hear about a shortage. Instead, build your food supply gradually. Buy what your family already eats. Learn how to store it properly. Rotate older products. And keep your emergency supplies organized. Most importantly, don't depend entirely on one type of food. A strong pantry includes variety. Foods that require cooking. Foods that need little preparation. Shelf-stable ingredients. And products that can be eaten when normal kitchen facilities aren't available. Because when an emergency happens, preparation gives you options. And options can make a difficult situation much easier to manage. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to Prepper Pulse and turn on notifications. We upload new videos daily with practical grocery tips, food storage ideas, and preparedness strategies to help you stay informed and ready. Stay prepared. Stay informed. And we'll see you in the next video.